Okay, here we go. Hi, and welcome to Dogman Teepee Hunting. If you're watching on YouTube or any other streaming service, and if you're listening to this or you want to listen to this, then you can find it on the Interdimensional Voyagers podcast, which is on Spotify, YouTube, all your normal podcast providers. I'm Phil Cottville, and I've got with me today, he's back for a second time, which is brilliant, Mr. Ian Wood. He's an investigator and explorer, really, as well, and got a wealth of knowledge about cryptids, Dogman especially, and had a lot of interactions with them. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Ian Wood. Hi, how you doing?
I'm all right. How are you doing, Phil?
I'm good. Excellent. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Thank you.
I don't know much about the explorer bit, but
you do a bit of exploring. I've seen you get out your car and exploring up and down. Yeah, I've seen that, you know, and you've done videos as well. He's got his own YouTube channel as well. If you'd like to tell us your YouTube channel.
Oh, it's just Ian Wood, or I think it's 7477 Ian Wood. If I think.
Yeah, I'm glad you remembered that. I couldn't remember that. I knew it was Ian Wood. But I couldn't remember. Anyway, yeah, okay. Check it out. Really good. Because there's no. What I like about Ian's videos, it's no fluffing it up. There's no special effects. There's no intros really. It's nothing like that. It is basically him going out and taking footage of, and sometimes he's caught some really good stuff. He's really caught some good stuff in woods and forests near where he lives, and also other places as well, because he went off with Colin as well, didn't he? Done some really good videos.
That was middle of May. That was up Dalby Forest and Bampton.
Yeah,
Flixton. Yeah, I had a great time. Dalby Forest especially. Yeah, that was awesome.
Was it good? Was it?
Oh yeah. It was. I mean, it was a pretty warm day. That was the 16th of May, but yeah, that was fantastic. I really, it's just sort of like wish you could stay a couple of days more, but got to get back.
Was it only a day? Was it?
Yeah, well, I went up for 2 days and we did Danes Dyke, Bampton, drove sort of through Flixton, and Colin was sort of pointing out all the different sightings and some of the local history. But basically, we spent the whole day at Dalby.
Okay.
And we just, both of us just got a feeling we just followed around everywhere. We found some really good paw prints, some big ones, a lot of tree sign, just crossed over, full-grown trees pushed across in an X shape. And we found some structures. They were old ones, but a couple of them were in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
So, it was just really, really great.
Do you when they put these structures across a path, and you find like an uprooted tree and it goes across a path? You go walking.
Yeah.
Is that to stop you, or is that to?
Yeah, it's if you find it where it's wide enough for a vehicle or a horse. Because there's a couple of pathways around Nooney Woods where are like that. Especially there's an access for a 4x4 in one part of the wood, and sometimes they just drop a tree right in the middle, and a couple of days later the guys come around with a chainsaw, cut it up. 2-3 weeks go by, and then they just drop another one. But
Okay.
it's some of the trees that are over 60 foot high, you know, big thick ones, and they just absolutely snapped in the middle,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. And I've only ever heard a tree like that being snapped, or I mean literally destroyed, and that was 2019, I think. Well, that was wild men doing that. There was about 2 or 3 of them, because one of them I caught behind me, hiding behind a tree, sticking his head round. And, I reversed my camera and took a quick picture of him. And it's sort of
Okay.
like a cone head. But
Uh,
when I was walking down the path, honestly, it just sounded like a wrecking ball in the place. It was loud, and it was just like a massive crash snap.
right.
So I just carried on, and when I got there, the tree was already sort of broken in two. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, like if you get a match and snap it, like an L shape. It was like that, up and
Yeah. It's
quite
quite
literally.
high up. When they snap them, they're about 4 or 5 foot
Yeah, but
high.
this one was halfway up. They say there's about 3 or 4 examples I've seen where you get like a 60, 70 foot tree,
Right.
and like literally 30 foot up, or 30, 40 foot right in the middle. It's just snapped in the middle,
Okay. There's
and
going
the
to be people
shards.
out. Sorry. Go on in.
I'm gonna say, I've only ever heard it once being done. Like I say, honestly, it's like something. Like you got guys like well, I describe as a wrecking crew. It's just so loud, like a smash bang. And like again, when I was walking down the path, I had to cut up the other side of an embankment. I'm going up, and I could see where the tree had been destroyed. So I thought, well, whoever did this it obviously heard me coming and fled. So I made this video, and I was like, they were just like literally here. And then something sort of said, turn your phone camera around, which I did. I took a couple of snaps over my shoulder. There was one sticking its head out behind the tree.
Right.
Probably about 5, 6 foot behind me.
Okay. How
But
tall was it? What was it?
7 foot. It was bigger than me. It was about 7 foot, but it's just sticking its head out like that. Had a cone
Okay.
shape.
So
I
yeah, because
like,
in America, when they talk about Bigfoot or Sasquatch, they always say it's like got a conical shaped head.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there is. They say the 7. I've seen them 7 times in 8 years up there. I've seen one Thursday evening about 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
maybe like 2020. I saw something moving between the trees, and it was just, it was huge. I could see an upper arm and a shoulder, and it was like 2 of me stood on top of each other. And I'm 6'3", and I just thought, right, that's how I'm going. I've never said, I've never relayed that story actually, because
Okay.
I don't put that down as a full blown, because it was a quite a few, well over 100 meters away. But I
Right.
caught the right arm and the shoulder. I couldn't even see the head because the tree canopy was covering it. But
Okay.
it just moving between 2 trees. And I caught the right arm, elbow up, onto the shoulder, onto the side of the neck. And whatever it
You're
was,
you're saying that. So what you're saying is you're 6'3", and it was about twice the height of you. So you're talking
yeah,
closer to 12 foot high. This thing
quite
was
easy. Yeah,
12 foot.
yeah, it was. It just moving that, and I was just going. Because I mean, you had a report, like I think last time we talked, that you had that 15-footer in Norfolk
Yeah.
from last year,
Yeah.
and
There's been reports. There's been reports, yeah, of really huge ones.
there's, up in Scotland, in the Highlands, which they call the grey man. I mean, they've had some. I mean, those things aren't 7, 8 foot. I mean, these things are like 10 foot plus.
Mm.
These are the ones that they reckon are quite cannibalistic.
Yes, yes, that's right. The ones in Scotland, these different tribes, I've been told, have got different names to them. Like the one tribe is called like the Redbacks or something. Is it, the guy that told me about these different, the names for them, also told me that the ones like you did actually when we last spoke, exactly the same. He corroborated you exactly. They're very much more intolerant of us. If we
Yeah,
go into somewhere in a forest by Loch Lomond, because I love Loch Lomond, if I go into a forest near there, a really thick, heavily dense forest there, and I will hear wood knocks. I will hear a lot, and they
yeah,
hammer. They hammer like they. It's not just where we are, where we people often hear like, and it's a distinctive sound, isn't it, Ian, of a
yeah,
large tree being knocked. It's a distinctive, sort of like hollowish, wooden hollowish sound. Nothing else would make that noise
yeah,
hitting a tree except a large branch or something hitting it. We're really clobbering it.
yeah.
Up there, it's drumming. It's drumming. They drum. It's almost like they'd like just get out, go. There's drumming, and that's the truth. I've
Mm.
heard that up there. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard drumming. I've heard one morning, maybe about 6 weeks ago, because sometimes I can hear this cockerel way off at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I heard this like yahoo call, about the same distance, and I thought, oh, that's got to be one of them. Because I actually, because obviously I go for the wolves, and one morning I thought, I'm going to I'm going to make a video. I'm going to howl and see what response I got.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got and a smack. I went, sorry, mate. Okay, I won't do that again. But I deleted the video because I thought, because they know. They always seem to know that something's up. But yeah, it was pretty. Yeah, it was pretty quick.
And that
So.
was in 2020 that you saw this like massive big, and you
Oh,
didn't. I just want
yeah.
more
Just
detail on that because that is to me is absolutely amazing. I mean, to go out and now I haven't seen personally a woodwose or wild man in our forest other than in Cannock Chase, but that was at a great distance. Camera picked it up. I never saw it, but it's once again debatable when you look at it on camera because it's at such a distance. But you can see it. I slowed it down to it, and I can see it turning. But the it's hard to get any distinct height. I've never been that close to one. I've seen the height, and when you tell me it's 12 foot, that's like what?
I mean, I've seen. I think out of the seven, I think the best one is one where I'm walking down. It was the same area where the tree had been smashed, and off to my right, there's another one walking towards me, and it's just got a stick, and it's just smacking the trees, like with a wooden stick, like I used to do with a iron grating. You run along and you get that click, 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 click.
Yeah.
And I looked up and I saw it, and it must have been a juval because it was only like 5 or 6 foot. And I raised my arm and I shouted morning to it, and it just like turned around. Its eyes were big, almost like shut itself, and it was gone. Because I think it was
Right.
really surprised. Yeah, it was early, about 6 o'clock in the morning, Saturday morning,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it just couldn't, just didn't really have a care.
See, that's the
And when
sound. That great, a stick along a grate. That's the sound. When I say drumming, that's the sound that I heard. It's like multiple close. Was it like that? I don't know if you can hear it like that. but you know,
Yeah,
like that. That's the sort of
yeah.
drum.
I've had. This was one was walking along. It was just smack the tree, walking along. Next one, smack the tree with a stick it had in its right hand, and it just sort of reminded me, you know, like you see in some of these old films when the kids run along. They got
Yeah,
the iron fencing or grating, and they just smack it with a stick. You know, that click, click,
yeah,
click, click.
yeah, yeah.
And I raised my right arm and you know I said good morning or shouted morning to it, and it just like whipped its head round. Look at me, and his eyes went big, like you know, like what the hell? And he was gone. It
See,
just
this is
shot into.
interesting. This is interesting. So when I see tree breaks, and it's like we're talking branches, and funny enough, the tree breaks often happen with trees that are in the middle of a wood, in the middle, not on the
Yeah,
peripheries of the woods where like they're open
yeah,
to the elements. They're all protected by. You would think when I go into wood, and it's windy. I try not to because I don't want widowmakers. But when you do, or you're in there and you can hear the trees swaying and that lovely rustling sounds. When I come towards the outer edge of the woods, yeah, you can feel the wind coming. You can feel it.
mm,
But when you're in, it kind of the trees break it up, don't they? They disturb the air, so it sort of is not quite so bad inside.
yeah.
So why then did a tree snaps happen that are so severe on I've seen them as you probably have, which these trees are I would say a good 1.5 to 2 feet across
Yeah,
the trunk, and they 4.5, 5 feet up, they're just snapped.
yeah.
Just now, is that Dogman or is that a wild man?
I know. For me, if it's down towards lower down towards the root and it's snapped at a right angle, I would take that as the wolf. Anything like bending trees, interlocking trees, because sometimes the wolf people they mimic wildman or sabe as a way of
Okay.
disguising their presence. That's what I think. And then sometimes they say they mimic each other, but certainly at the lower the tree root and it's snapped at a right angle, then that's the wolf. Because I've never seen or heard in all the years I've been doing this anything where the wild man has done anything similar to what the wolf people do. So I mean, obviously the trees that were snapped in the middle, I would take that to be the wild man doing that. The ones recently I saw this year, there was 2 of them. And they say they're like 67 foot. They're like literally smashed in the middle. But there's one that was about maybe 200, 250 meters off to the left, where he'd just been smashed, laid on the ground, and the individual had made a makeshift shelter. Now I've been there a couple of times, and I sit there and I'll eat some sausages there because there was one time I'll tell you, I'm not sure if I sent you the picture. It made its shelter where the root system was.
Okay.
And I'm sat there and I got a big black mass with a pair of golden eyes looking right back at me. No more than about 50 feet off to my right. And I left it some sausages. So that, that wolf creature must have done that tree. But the other 2 trees, they were just absolutely like snapped like matchsticks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right in the middle. And that is in a couple of videos I've made.
Mm.
Because it really is. I mean, it really is quite something
So,
to see.
yeah.
There's no other. It's right, like you say, it's right in the middle, and
Yeah.
it's like, well, how on earth? Some people say, oh, it's probably built up gas inside the tree and it exploded, or the wind did it. But these are a good 10-foot circumference. They're really good, thick and solid, and they're like say 67 foot tall.
Okay.
and they literally are smashed, splintered, shattered.
Yeah.
It's like someone's just gone up and then put a lot of pressure at the base of it, its feet, and then try to sort of like push into the tree and then pull at the same time, hoping to snap it.
Yeah. The ones I saw one in Rendlesham Forest, and when I was there, and it was, I took a video of it, and it was a very wide tree, but it almost looked, these presses you get like, I sometimes watch these videos for no reason at all, and the videos are just because I find them fascinating, where all the video is you get a big hydraulic press, right? And the press comes down, and they put different stuff inside the press, and they just compress it until it just obliterates or just squidges
Yeah,
out, or whatever it may be. And I don't know, I just like, and every now and then one will pop up of where they're compressing wood. So they got a block of wood. And they put it under and now this press is something else. It's tons, if not hundreds of tons of pressure on it. I mean, it's an incredible thing. And wood just under this pressure just basically shatters into shards. Very, very sharp shards of wood just splinter out. But basically explodes, if you like. The ones tree breaks that I've seen, the big ones, look identical. They look the remnants of the tree. So where am I? The camera here. Right. Okay. So imagine that's the tree, and it breaks. They go like that. The tree is still attached, but it's not part of it. It's just laid to rest on top like that. And you've got maybe this part. You've got maybe 60, 70 feet of tree on this part, laying down on the ground, and it's just resting. So it's not connected. It's completely shattered and severed at this point here, completely.
Well, just to give you an idea, one of the recent Steve Nisdale videos, he mentions a witness said one of these Sabe or wild men lifting up a tree and throwing it a good 20, 30 feet. And these foresters, looked at the tree and examined it, and they reckon this thing was 8 ton in weight. So if a full adult, 8 to 10 foot, has got an 8 ton lift capacity, maybe one or two of these things could quite easily snap a huge 60 foot plus tree in two quite easily. I mean, I don't know how they sort of determine the mass weight of a tree, but obviously these guys must have been experienced, and obviously the sort of mass and density of this thing. Well, they estimate it was, when it ripped it out and lifted it and threw it, we're talking about an 8 ton capacity in terms of lifting this thing. So if one of those can do that, maybe one or two can quite easily snap a good thick solid tree.
Yeah. Oh, easily. I think so. And it is, like you say, it's obliterated. Where the snap is, it's obliterated. I sometimes wish I had a little bit more time to gain some more knowledge on trees, to find out if the tree snaps are the same type of tree. I mean, could they do that to an oak? Could they? I do know one thing. When I see the large X's, and they're proper trees, lifted up, taken out and just placed. I think when you were with Colin, there was one that I spotted on the video, and it was in the tree line, and that was a damned huge X in the tree line. But once again, but they always seem to be the white barked trees, narrow, not very thick, but quite narrow but long, and they got like silver birch almost.
I mean, I don't know why they do that. I mean, the only thing I've ever say going right back to the very beginning. In my first full year of this was around Chasey Heath, and this is where I saw my first wild man, and it walks in between two trees. It was way off to my right, but it's just the movement exactly like as you see in the Patterson Gimlin film, and the fact I was expecting it to come out behind the other tree, and it didn't. But I saw it walk between, and the sun was to its right, so the sunlight's coming into the wood from an open field. So it was silhouetted perfectly, and it just sort of popped out from one tree, walked across a bit of open space, and then disappeared behind another tree. And I was expecting it to come out the other side, you know, like walking. But the way it moved in between, exactly like that female sabe, you know, sort of lopping with its arms like that. It was about 7 foot tall, I would guess. But these, you know, you see these trees sort of pushed over, and then there's another tree pushed over somewhere else, and you think that, you know, this looks a bit odd, but there's got to be some sort of master plan behind it. And then one day, again, so I was up in Chasey Heath, and I was walking around, and you see all these trees pushed over, and I thought, I walked to the right edge of the wood where it's near the main road, and I looked, and when you look back into the woods and all these random trees that are just like pushed over, when you look right in, they're all lined up. So at a certain angle. So like when you're in between them, there's one off to your left, there's one off to the right. There's no pattern to it. It just looks random. You think, oh, I'll tell you what, I'll push that tree over, or that one over there. But when you stand back, when you stand back, they look like they all line up, and they're all cross over. It's almost, it kind of reminded me like a landing strip,
right?
Like a tunnel of crossed trees. In a way, it was really weird. But when you're walking amongst them, they all look random. There's no pattern to it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you go back a few hundred meters, then you look at it head on, and they just all line up. I was like, wow, that is cool.
You know, when they line up, I saw one where it was the same, where when I was close to it, it just looked like a couple of pushed over trees. Then I walked back, and I've got a photo of this. Your photos, I will be putting up, and people will be able to see them on screen with us as we go talking through. As I walked away and looked back, there was a pentagram. It made a pentagram, very clear pentagram. You know, like a Star of David, if you like. Yeah, you know, like the yeah. It made one of those. I've got a photo of it. I'll load it up on here and have a look. So just to show people. See, that brings me. I've got a strong. I think there's a strong correlation. A lot of people have said no, like with the teepees and the structures and everything else. And with these trees that are all broken and in weird postures, leaning over, I think they are the equivalent within a forest of a crop circle.
Yeah.
They're as enigmatic as a crop circle. They're both physical. Nobody ever sees them being made. Nobody ever owns up really to them being made. They do form geometric shapes, both of these crop circles and the structures we see. When you look at them, and you've rightly pointed out, they are geometric. They may not be on first hand close up, but you take a step back and look, and you got yourself a crop circle, but in a form made with trees.
Yeah. yeah. I would say, it's I say at the time, it just looks as though there's no pattern to it, and then literally having to walk back quite a distance near the main road and then look up, and they just all literally line up. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, that is impressive. Yeah, it was like a long hallway. It was just when you see the officers, at a wedding, they cross swords and the bride and bridegroom come out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like that.
I got you.
Yeah,
I got.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's
I got
it's
it. I can visualize it now. Now I can visualize it. Yeah. I can visualize it very well.
yeah,
You're saying.
really, really interesting. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that
Mm. Sorry, go on in.
those yeah, I was going to say those still pictures I sent you yesterday from
Yeah.
May Lane.
Yeah. I'm going to get those loaded
But
up on this.
yeah, where the car's parked, there's one sticking its head over the wall,
Yeah.
and then there's another still where it's moved back. Well, where the car is, there's a big tree hanging over, and there's one in there just right next to it. Because when I was reversing, when I was coming back, I reversed back a bit and then swung around to the right, and obviously I had to reverse back near to the wall to get back on the road. And I'm in drive. I feel my car being pulled back, and I was like, okay. I'm in drive. I got an automatic. My car's in drive, and I'm being pulled back towards the wall. So I hit the brake, park up, put it in park, handbrake. Like you you go back to driving school. So in drive, handbrake off. I start to pull away. I get pulled back a second time. And this time, my heart's going boom, 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 boom. I was, I was like, oh my God. So I repeated what I'd just done, and this time nothing happened. But twice I got pulled back. I thought I was going to hit the wall.
Right. Okay.
There's
Yeah.
there's no dip where you get a natural roll back before you've
Yeah.
got enough pressure on the accelerator to get you away. It's flat. It's hard, flat earth.
Right. Okay. Let's break it down a little bit more. Right, because this doesn't happen all the while at all. So you got
No,
in your car, and what time's this? Early morning.
no. This is in the evening. I made
Evening.
that video. Yeah, I made that last night after 6 o'clock.
Okay.
It's definitely quiet. It was definitely quiet.
Okay. And you got
Uh,
you then got you said, right. Okay. I'm gonna get in the car and go. You got in the
yeah,
car. You put it into drive. It's an automatic. Let the handbrake off.
yeah.
Now
So I
it goes naturally forward anyway, slightly, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah. But initially, I had to pull back a bit just to get enough space to swing around and reverse back, so I
Okay.
could then turn right to get on the road. So I do that maneuver. So I'm reversing back, and I stop, put it in drive, so I can turn right, and the car rolls back. It's pulled back. There's no dip. There's no dip for me to roll back. And I stopped, put it in park, apply handbrake, repeat the process, drive handbrake off. I got pulled back again. I stopped, and I would say second time I was getting really, really nervous, and maybe I don't know. I said it before. After I was like, oh, stop playing silly buggers, please. And third time, no problem. But on that second one, I was getting a bit nervous because I thought I was going to get pulled back and hit the wall. And they say it's private property on there.
Right. Yeah. No, that's it.
Private,
Yeah.
private estate, yeah. And because I just don't want them to think.
Crikey, that's incredible. That's incredible, Ian.
I've had one time about 2 years ago. I was up there with another chap who lives local. He's had a couple of encounters, and the top of my roof got pushed in. Like when you press down on a metal surface and it pops back.
Yeah.
You get like that popping sound, yeah.
Mm.
I had that done to my car roof as well. He was there
Yeah.
with me when it happened. That's when we were clapped at, laughed at, and all in the same afternoon.
Okay.
And we could hear the clapping. We could see the area where it was coming, where it was being made, but there was nothing there. And
Yeah.
then we heard this laughing. You know.
Yeah. I remember doing that. I remember doing that when I was a kid to my dad's Cortina once. I saw Starsky and Hutch, and I slid across his bonnet. Like
Yeah.
Starsky and Hutch used to. Yeah, I thought, oh, yeah, I'll just show off. So it's like, oh, yeah. It wasn't happy. I learnt my lesson. Put it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you mean. It dents down, but pops back,
Yeah.
back up again.
Yeah, but it seems like it'd been pressed in the middle and then let go.
Okay. Do you know what I'm going to say to you now? Don't for God's sake, honestly, don't have a car wash. Leave your car really dirty. Have you thought about checking it? Sort of like for prints or anything like that, because it must have held on to something. I don't know what type of car you got. I wish it was like the old-fashioned cars with a chrome bumper where it had a gap and you could get a proper print off it. They're all plastic now, but
it's a Fabia.
Right. Was it the wheel arch? It could be the wheel arch it grabbed hold of.
Yeah,
it could be.
It's but initially I thought I was rolling back. Whatever, it was effortless for this thing. I mean, there was no strain, there was no resistance. Even though I tried, it just like to me, like I say, at first I thought I was back in a dip, and it's not. It's a hard flat surface, right up to the wall. There's no dip in the back for me to roll back. Time to sort of get enough revs to pull away.
Yeah.
But it just second time though, it was definitely like I'm going to hit the wall. I was getting really, really nervous.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure I said, "Oh, please stop me playing around, you silly buggers." But the third time I drove off, but I was getting like, oh. But it was weird. It just seemed effortless. When I was pulled back, it was just like there was no effort to it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to go forward, and I'm just first time I'm sort of like, what's going on? So I stop, put it in park, handbrake, and this time I'll give it a bit more oomph. And again, I just go back, and again it's just as though I'm trying to slightly apply a bit of pressure to accelerate round to the right to get back on the main road. I'm just being pulled back, and again it's effortless.
Okay.
It's like no resistance.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to hit them. And again, apply the brakes, put it in park, handbrake. I think I probably said it afterwards, but again, I'm just, my heart's racing. I was like, oh my God, they're just going to pull me in. And, so third time, and this time I drove away.
Did you, was there anything on your car? Any marks at all?
No, I've not looked. I'm not, I just don't want to. It's just like, how big are these prints?
Exactly.
I'll go and look. I will, but so far I've not. Because
I mean, I'll put it up. I'll put it up on here as well. The photo that I love is that handprint. That you've got.
Yeah.
If it was on the car, so say your car's dirty, it doesn't matter. I can wash my car today. Tomorrow it'll be dirty anyway. So it's going to be dirt on it. If there was a handprint, much like the one you had before, my word.
I do. It's normally a couple of months. I don't get the car washed. There's normally a lot of muck inside and outside as well before I get it cleaned.
Yeah,
So
same as me. Just leave it. Really, I just like, because I always think, well, as soon as I wash it, it's going to get mucky again. It's just,
yeah,
but no, yeah. If you don't mind, just let us know about that. You know, if the
yeah,
card, check it, and you know, and obviously, if there is anything, just you know, I mean, this is not live. This is going to be recorded at this time, but
mm,
because I want to put the photos up and other bits and bobs up. So if Ian does see anything or gets anything on, you know, the prints or anything on his cart, then and he sends me the photos, I'll load them up onto this video as well.
yeah.
But no, that's amazing. When you pulled off, there was no. I got to ask. There was no bump. There was no.
No. Just they say the 2 times I was pulled back, it was effortless. But
Okay.
the first time I just thought, oh my god, you know, there's a dip, so you get a bit of natural rollback, and there wasn't. Because when I'm pulled away, I look, it's hard. It's a hard flat surface. It goes right up to the wall. And the second time I got pulled back, like I say, I was pooing it.
Okay.
So yeah.
Blimey. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Check the car. Check the car. Do you,
yeah,
um, I want to keep on the subject really of, if I can, of wood woes, as I
mm,
call them, because we've got a very long history in this country of them
yeah,
on carvings on churches and in wooden slates and, you know, stories and folklore.
yeah,
And they always carry a club with them. Um, they all seem to carry a club, huge, big hulking thing with a club. They are on carvings that I've seen, kind of less Bigfoot looking, more human head looking on
yeah.
carvings. I don't
I mean, it's like I say. I mean, I spent a lot of time listening to Steve Estelle, and like I say, from a lot of the descriptions he gets, you know, they sort of like human-looking face, but over like a sort of wider nose, higher cheeks,
know.
but again, very human-looking.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah,
say, I really do believe they are part of the human family. They say the mitochondrial DNA is 96% female, human, and 4% male, unknown.
mm,
And same could be said for you know, the wolves. There's an element of human DNA in there as well.
yeah,
Yeah, there's I think there's been a couple of studies done,
yeah,
but there certainly seems to be a sort of mix-up, or you know, some sort of, like, you know, they've come from some sort of experimental breeding program. You know, because you know, last time before, you know, it's like discussed. You know, I think there is a certain element of an outside influence or input into some sort of biological engineering.
yeah. No, I do. I think more and more along the lines, because I was reading an article recently. See, with foxes, uh, they're actually part of the dog family,
Yeah,
and just recently there was a hybrid one that was seen, and it's now being examined. And what it is, it was a dog and a fox that had bred together and created this hybrid doxy.
mm,
I call it a doxy, but so it's kind of a, and you can see quite clearly that there's pictures on the internet of it. I'll try and get one up on here, and it looks quite clearly very fox-like, but with more of a dog's body. I never imagined in my life that, you know, that that species of fox would interbreed. But there we go, that's a fact. It interbred
yeah.
with a dog.
It's
And
like
there we go.
you know, you hear these stories about a cross between a polar and a grizzly bear,
Mm,
and there's pictures of them starting to surface now. What I think we call a grizzly bear.
Mm.
You know, grizzly and polar.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's all starts from some sort of female polar bear that got off, took a wrong turn somewhere, and ended up breeding with a male grizzly.
Yeah.
And just started producing these what could be, I think, quite a large bear. I know you got like the Kodiak bears, which are supposed to be like humongous.
Yeah, they
but,
are.
but you know,
Yeah.
if you got a cross between a grizzly and a polar, I think you'd certainly have a big problem on your hands.
Oh, there'll be a big problem in my pants. I know that. Blimey, Riley.
Yeah.
And if I saw one of them in a forest, I'll be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It's not until you get close to one. I remember being I forget where I was now. It might have been Longleat, but they had a bear in there for a while. Anyway, yeah, it's paws, huge,
Yeah.
absolutely ginormous. It's just incredible. It's like I used to go with work. I used to have to go to a zoo not far from here, and it was in the early morning, so no one was about, and I'd have to go in. It was to do. I was basically servicing in some of the sanitary stuff, and in the washroom area. So anyway, I was in there doing that, and I go past a tiger enclosure. Anyway, this tiger was lovely, really beautiful thing. And in the morning, it would be kind of like inquisitive, and almost I could see on its face. It would come up to the fence. It would go, "Oh yeah." I'll be like, "Right, how you doing? You right?" And it would just track me, follow me down to the bottom of the fence. It had a massive big enclosure, and right at the end, it would like it reared up. This is early in the morning. It reared up onto the fence.
Yeah.
Ian, when you're up close, it was like a fence and about 3 foot between us. 3-4 foot. It's so big. These things.
Yeah.
A tiger is just phenomenally big. It dwarfed me. Absolutely dwarfed me. So when people talk about like, woodwows or Sasquatch being like so big, and Dogman the same, yeah. I can quite well imagine that. Seeing one of those like you did, a 12-foot one, is quite impressive. It's quite impressive to see.
Like I say, I mean, the only 2 times I've ever seen Big Boss at Nooney Woods is, from some distance. I say the second last time, he was sort of sat down, and I was about 300 meters from him, but he was just this really tired looking, worn out look on his face, and I took pictures of him, and one minute he's there, one minute he's gone. But like I say, on all fours, he's about the size of a 4-ton Army Bedford truck.
Yeah, no sound. No sound.
No.
No.
Just gone.
Yeah. It's interesting. I honestly do believe that there is a link up though with the more I think about it with these structures that they do, and I keep thinking, it's almost like a 3-dimensional crop circle in a forest. And I think that when you talk about it looked, when you look down and you saw those trees and they kind of like look like a landing site, like a landing pad.
Yeah.
Maybe they are connected. Yes, we talk about them being the DNA being shared to a certain degree, and maybe they are, because there's a lot of traits of them being animalistic. But then there's also, when you talk about like your episode, when they go on all fours and they disappear, a thing so big as that and it disappears like that with sound. That is not natural. That's not natural.
Well,
There's something to do there.
Well, I say, I mean, they have young. They leave big piles of poo all over the place. They leave prints everywhere. They leave lots of physical evidence, like say tree breaks and other structures.
Mm.
But they can just do a whole bunch of stuff that, which I'm sure to them is natural, but to us would appear to be supernatural.
Mm.
Like say cloaking and disappearing and turning up in one location. I mean, even when in the physical presence, when they move or on 2 or 4 legs, I mean, it's just like a blur. I mean, they just move
Yeah.
so fast.
Yeah.
Even when they're upright from a standing start position, it just it's just like a blur. You see them and then they're off.
Mm.
They just run.
Yeah. Yeah. But people have often said that when they see them, they will see, like when they see them running and they're going, a section of them morphs first, cloaks first. Do you see what I mean?
Mm.
It's like a part of them it's almost like the old-fashioned on-stage magic trick where their hand slowly disappears up the sleeve.
Yeah.
They don't just go like that and boom, that's it, nothing. When they cloak, they kind of it's almost like they hand up the sleeve slowly. It's like they're walking into, maybe a invisible curtain of cloak, if you know
Yeah.
what I mean. That's what's strange.
There's, let's say, I've got pictures of them doing what I would call a 50-50, where they're
Mm.
half in, half out. You can see the upper torso of the legs. But again,
Yeah.
I tend to go for the fact the same hair structure that they have, like the Sabo people, that there's an oil follicle in the root of the hair, that
Right.
because the hair is hollow, it secretes, and then there's some sort of way when their hair is coated in oil in a certain way, they suddenly somehow bend or refract light, or there's some sort of electromagnetic charge that makes them has the ability to literally disappear right in front of you.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. And
Yeah. Yeah. I can see it.
I know there's like the portal subject as well. I believe that they do have that ability to somehow move around like that. Same as because I mean, there's just too many accounts of Sabo people doing the same thing. The balls of light, like a probe or a recon, have the ability to get around from one place and then appear somewhere else later. Like they literally walk out of thin air.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I really do think that they walk around. I mean, I've got pictures of them where they're cloaked, but you can see the outline of them.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I got that on video at Camberwell. Exactly the same.
Mm.
It clicked out, and you could see the branches and the bushes behind it, and the outline of the actual creature.
Yeah.
And it's like, what has it did what? The one thing that gets me though is the sound. They don't. How can something now? If I dropped a bear in the forest, if it was running away, it would make a sound. You can't help. You've been, with
Yeah.
your experience, and I know your experience, because we've chatted about it.
Yeah.
If you were sent on a mission, or if you were sent into the woods and said, right, okay, I want you to get to the other side of the woods, say paintball, just for instance,
All right.
and you want to get the other opposing team and to shoot them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you be able to travel without making any sound in that wood? You know,
No.
to alert the others,
No.
to alert your opponents. Would that be possible, being that you're the size of a truck?
No. But the thing is, somehow these things do. They do have this. I mean, I've had them walk round me. They deliberately bum 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 bum. Just to make you know that they're there.
Yeah.
But they say that there's been times when I've seen them walk in front of me on all fours, and it looks like it's gliding. But I can see the limbs moving in motion. But it's just like effortless. It's like nothing.
That's been spoken.
Nothing's impeding it. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to, because sometimes when you walk through the woods, you got to watch where you're footing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the amount of times that I've smacked myself on a stump or some low-lying branches on the floor, and you step on another one, it springs up and hits you in the shin.
I've done
You know, and you're cursing every saint under the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite, so my particular favorite is just you get a bit of brush and you're going through, and it just manages to capture one of your one of your shoes. So you got your boot, and it just
Yeah.
captures it. But as you go to step forward, you're being held back by this like twine of brush, and you end up, for some reason, instead of stopping and like untwining it, I end up battling it.
Yeah.
Kind of like it's a tug of war with the forest. I don't know why I do that, but yeah, it's not. It's a place which, with the dips, the holes, I often come across and go down, nearly break an ankle because of holes covered
Mm.
up by leaves and stuff, and you can't see it. You
Yeah.
just forward, boom, that's it, and then
Yeah.
your footing goes, and your ankle's like, does that. And it's like, oh, so it isn't a place which is naturally an easy place for these things to travel in such a manner, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sorry, I recall that one time I was sat in the woods having a coffee and sandwiches, and looked across this clearing, and it was a juvenile, about 4 or 5 foot in length, and way off to my left there was 2 deer, and it sort of hesitated, and then it went. But the thing was, it moved so fast I didn't even see it. I didn't see that black blur screaming across the opening. I saw it go, but I didn't see the rest of the run to the deer. But the deer, they bolted, you know. But I saw it come out low, out the tree line, and it still, it stuck like in a ready to go pose.
Yeah.
And it hesitated, kind of backed up a bit, and then thought, no, bugger it, I'm going. And it's boom. But I didn't hear. I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear any sound because it probably about 200 meters across open terrain. Didn't hear anything.
Okay.
But these deer knew it was coming. Yeah, they bolted.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to put another, because all the theories that we have, regretfully, none are proven, are they? But
No.
what about the theory that these things are or could be conjured up? Black magic or some black magic rituals. There is voodoo rituals, and these voodoo rituals occasionally they utilize dismembering animals and putting the dismembered parts of an animal.
Yeah.
you know, kind of in a manner of a person, if you like, and doing incantations. And do you think it could be that?
I've never come across anything like that or heard anything like that, you know, because, you know, there's an awful lot of chat amongst, you know, people that we know or somebody knows and they might know something more, but I've never heard anything or seen anything like that. But again, I don't discount that somewhere out there, there is a man or a woman that may have that kind of mojo.
Yeah, because it's also like with I mean, I've come across things myself in Epping Forest, and a particular part of Epping Forest where you find figures made of sticks, a bit like in Blair Witch, same type
Yeah.
of thing. Symbols, not very big, small, but still symbols. So much so that it's like kind of they're twigs, and they use twine to intertwine the two sticks together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I found that in a few places, usually where there is pagan monuments, stones, old monuments. I went to Dorset, and there was a Remstone circle. I found the same kind of signals there, as it were.
Yeah.
And that's quite a hotbed round there for these.
I mean, I truly believe that there is an old school of witchcraft that pervades in this country. None of this Wiccan New Age stuff. You know, like I know, like Dorset, like say Devon, Dorset, Cornwall, Lancashire, Cheshire. I mean, Staffordshire's old school, and I would even suspect parts of East Anglia as well. What I would call, like, you know, where back in the day each village had a granny that, you know, could morph into a hare.
Yeah.
Like she was the midwife, she was the doctor, she was known as it, and those people still exist in some parts of rural England. But I definitely believe that there is an old school traditional form of English witchcraft.
Yeah.
But you know, they're not a midwife or, you know, some jealous girl accusing another girl of cavorting at midnight with a black goat or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I really believe that there are some parts of this country that still hold true to certain traditions that are centuries old, but don't sort of go into crystals and
no, I don't think it's
Wiccan stuff, because you know I think a lot of that is just New Age. That's not to say that there are some genuine practitioners who have are quite adept at what they do and then try to sort of make a financial living off of it. But you know, I mean, I would think a true witch would just keep to her local area where people, you know, like, oh, you need to go see Granny Smith down the end of the road if you want that done. And I really, I mean, there was a case in, down near Exeter a few years back where some cats had been buried at the cardinal points around a person's house, and the cats had had the throat cut. You know, which apparently is like you're gonna die sort of thing. And this person, this person just like sold the house and left. But you know these were buried in at the cardinal points around the house. I mean, they even nailed one to the front door of the house. A cat.
Well, yeah, very often they you know, I think quite recently and I think it still goes on. When there's renovations, I remember in a small village in Suffolk, and because years ago I was a plumber,
Yeah.
and I was doing some work in this very old cottage. Lovely lady. Funny enough, she was she won't mind me telling this at all. She won't mind. She was a prison officer for a number of years. And I could just imagine her being a prison officer. She looked the sort, you know. Yeah, I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of you, missus. And she told me a funny story about, just a quick one. I know we divert a little bit off, but about Myra Hindley, and evidently with evidently when Myra Hindley was sentenced, category A prisoners, they never spent more than 3 months in any one prison, so they rotated them around different prisons all the while. Anyway, this category A she said we had then, and we didn't know at first who it was, but we knew it was someone really, bad. So so things have to alter within a prison. So like with the other inmates, when they have their playtime outside, they can't ever mix. They have their playtime, then the category A, maybe even a single like her, she was on her own, would be allowed to go outside on her own. And she had a habit. She told me, this prison guard, she said she had a habit of, instead of ringing the bell by the gate, if you can imagine a corridor, and in this corridor is, in the middle of it is a central office where the guards were in glass, and then to one side of it, where am I? Yeah, one side of it was a gate, and the other side of the office was a gate. One going in, one coming out. And anyway, Hindley was like kind of for some reason she'd never pressed a button, and they would like signal to her out the window, pointing to the button. Press the button when you want to go through. But she would always knock on the window every time, and it used to annoy them, the guards. Oh, crikey, really? She'd always tap a certain way of tapping. And anyway, she went out. They let her through the gate. She went and had her exercise. Anyway, thankfully, thankfully, when she died, no great shakes. The prison guard said that for a long, long time afterwards, at that time that she was allowed out, they would hear tapping on the glass. Yeah. Anyway, that's a little thing, but I do believe her. I did believe her, because she was like absolutely no bullshit at all. She was like there with it. She was like, yeah. But the rest of it, she said, no, I don't really believe it. But anyway, I was doing work in her place, and she wanted an ensuite put into her bedroom, and I said that's fine. She had lava plaster walls, which are a very old cottage, slats of wood, and then behind the wood is hay. And yeah, so you know, and it's a little bit, from my point of view, it's a bit awkward with lava plaster trying to get the pipe work behind. So I had to go into the loft to drop it down through the cavity, the copper work. So I made up my tails, and I made up the elbows, soldered them separately outside, then dropped them down through. And I thought I'd do the final tails for the radiators and the rest of it, and the taps at low level. When I was in the loft, I had a shock of my life. There was a skeleton of a cat up there in the cavity of the wall. In the wall. So she had a person come in, like a not rent a kill, but like that, anyway, to take the cat away and that. But she also phoned up a friend of hers who was a witch to do a rite over it. Got to do rites over it, because she said, because a lot of times they say leave the cat in the wall, but
it's like a form of protection.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
In some ways,
Shock of my life. I was like, how did the cat get up here? Yeah, but it was on purpose. It's actually there on purpose. Yeah. Um, but you get like a lot of uh, you see, what puts it up in my mind really is you get a lot of cryptids in places like Brazil, and in places like Brazil,
Oh
you
yeah,
also get Afro Brazilian voodoo. There's one in particular called Quimbamba or Quimbanda, I think
yeah,
it's pronounced, which is meant to be a very powerful form of voodoo, which uses animal sacrifice as well in, but they also utilize in this the manifestation. So they believe that they can manifest these uh, oh, half man, half beast creatures that do their bidding for them. And it
yeah.
kind of occurred to me, I thought, I wonder if they're, it just makes you think, oh, I wonder if
Mm.
they're created, you know.
Well, I mean, if you take Midrash, uh, Jewish rabbinical tradition, the making of the golem.
Yeah.
You know, normally it's a sort of man-like creature from mud that
Mm,
does the bidding, and
yeah.
then some of you get like this Frankenstein, like almost raising of the dead. But yeah, I think you get any. There's a lot of traditions of creating or having a
Mm,
force that can do your bidding. Like leaving your fingerprints free from the crime scene, so to speak.
yeah,
But
that's right. Yeah.
it's almost it's almost bizarre in a way that some religions believe that they can manifest certain entities, whether physical or spiritual form, to actually, like say, do their bidding.
Yeah.
This is what I find really curious, about like with if you go back to um, sort of pre-Christian times, Judaism, you got Pharisees and Sadducees,
Yeah.
and then you have there was a rabbi around about 260 BC called Boethius, or Hanan ben Boethius. It was a Sadducean, and he separates, goes into the wilderness, and
Mm,
forms the Ebunim, the poor, the meek, like this
right.
separated, this real hardcore, ultra Torah aligned group. But the thing is, in part of their literature is the Book of Tobit, which is a book of magic. So if you think there's a group of like really hardcore, ultra nationalist, xenophobic, ultra religious Jews living in the desert, you know, living by Torah, preaching by Torah, but they also have a book of magic. Now, in some aspects, magic is considered a work of shaitan, or it's just absolutely taboo. I mean,
Yeah.
especially if you go through Midrash or Tefeta, some parts of um, when you invoke, because I think when the temple fell in 73 or 72 AD, that after the Romans had gone to town in Jerusalem and Caesarea,
Yeah.
I think it was Yohanan ben Zakkai who formed the rabbinical school of Judaism, and it's just like they had this massive cut, like the Book of Tobit was just like excised. It was put down a memory hole because it was aligned with this extremist group that caused the rebellion. So, even in, like, say, even when you look like, you got the golem, and then you say you got these, a lot of these South American and sort of Caribbean voodoo schools,
Mm,
and a lot of it is based off Catholic liturgy. I mean, I did watch this one video, about Haitian voodoo, like the saints, and you look at
mm,
some of these cartel death cults.
mm.
They
Yeah.
have a saint, like Sakari, and
Mm,
Sakari or Sicarius.
yeah.
It's it's actually an old Middle Eastern root word for assassin.
Yeah.
Yeah, Judas Iscariot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Judas the hitman.
Yeah.
Not the betrayer, because they all apparently it's like a curved knife. And you know, when they used to do assassinations, you know, this is a sort of tool of the trade. So you know, there's you know, a lot of Christian iconography
because it was
involved in it.
curved. It was curved for reasons, because
Yeah,
you would kill from behind.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, in one sense, you know, a lot of these, like say voodoo, you know, manifestate. A lot of it's you know, based on Catholic liturgy, mixed in with local traditions, say from the old gods. But like you say, it's almost like they all seem to share the same ritualistic belief that they can somehow manifest a spirit or some physical entity into, you know, either protecting or doing harm to others, that they think that some sort of vengeance is justified against an opponent.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think, you know, it's a lot of it when you boil down to it. A lot of I was brought up Christian, so I went to CAB, you know, so it was Cat Stevens songs every morning and stuff. But you know, we were very much taught that, you know, the Holy Spirit was a manifestation of God on earth, always with us, here now, always. So once again, you know, in a way, kind of like a almost tangible conduit to God is with us all the while. And that's what I was taught as well. So it's like, you know, it just occurred to me, because I was talking to someone that you know, we were discussing about, like, you know, rituals and voodoo and stuff like that, and it just occurred to me, do you know, a lot of these rituals, they do try and manifest, you know, entities. And I thought, I wonder if it was, you know, and after some of have you ever seen any, like, witchcraft type things that you could put down to witchcraft in the woods?
No. I mean, I've heard the one story. I'm not sure if I relate to you. When I was in the army, I was in a naffy up in Bicester. Morning naffy break, which is like normally 10:30. Cup of tea. Sat down with these two old boys, and they were actually relating a story about when they were on exercise years before my time. But they got to exercise in Germany, and they had to go to a corner of a wood with a signals Land Rover and set up a signals relay point. You know, plant some aerials and all that stuff. And basically, you know, food and drink would be brought. But basically, summertime Germany, field, middle of nowhere, 2 weeks, put your feet up and after snooze.
Lovely.
One of the guys relating this story, I know, was a no-nonsense guy. And multiple tours, Northern Ireland, all that kind of stuff. And they were saying, basically, first night they heard, like, what they thought was female chanting. And second night they thought they'd investigate because they heard this chanting again. And he said what they saw were 12 German girls, all dressed in white, all with laurel crowns or some sort of floral crown on their hair, holding hands, dancing around a tree. The base of the tree was on fire. And he said what scared the absolute holy bejesus out of them. He said this tree got up, uprooted itself and moved.
The tree did?
Yeah, the tree uprooted itself and moved. At that point, both of them are running, scared witless, back to that Land Rover. And he said they got in and they drove. And they said there was cables, there was all kinds of damage. They went to the nearest HQ, reported what they see, and basically they said, you can lock us up, you can do whatever, but we are not going back there. And the guy, the old boy, the no-nonsense guy, he was like, yeah, absolutely. You know, I'll take that to my grave.
and his, I mean, obviously he was like proper shaken
Oh
up
yeah,
by it.
yeah, both of them. Even though it's years after the event, and they're telling me this, they were. You can tell they weren't, because I've only been around a couple of years. They weren't pulling my leg.
And they weren't pulling your leg.
No. These two guys, no nonsense. They was, yeah. That's one of the things, out of all the different experiences.
See, that's the thing, isn't it? I think that is just like so incredible. It was almost too incredible to make up.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It's too incredible to make up. It's not something that you would like kind of, girls dressed in white dancing around a tree which is on fire at the base, and then all of a sudden, did the tree jump up when it? Did they see the guys? Your
He just
friends
said, all he said was it uprooted itself and moved.
uprooted itself and moved.
So there's obviously some sort of motion involved. So there must have been some sort of like moving left and right to get itself free. But he said it was at a point that when it moved, that's when, it was nearly time to change their underpants time. And he said they
Yeah,
just turned them
yeah,
around.
yeah. Blimey, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, for sure. Absolutely. Blimey, that's a story and a half, isn't it?
Yeah.
That would take some beating. Yeah.
I tell you, right. I'm not sure. I've only told this maybe about a dozen times to some people. I will tell you, Northern Ireland, or Ireland in itself, has its whole has its own little sort of echo chamber when it comes to things supernatural. Like banshees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There are like the werewolves and the fairies and bluebells. It's the same mythology as here as well. But one time, October 88, this would be my third tour. We had there was 2 vehicles. There was 8 of us, 4 in each vehicle. So when you have a section out there, it's called a brick. And the brick commander, we had to go to this cemetery outside Lisbon, rural place. Now, brick commander says to me, "All right, Mick, take all this kit, go down to the end of the cemetery in a hedge line, because there was a road and a house. We just had to keep an eye on." Okay.
Yeah.
Now I walked. You've seen a lot of these church entrances. They got the nice stone fence, and then they got the wooden archway, the nice little sort of wooden gates.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about a mild temperate evening. I walked into that cemetery. It was freezing cold. And I carried on walking, and the sense I got, there was something in there that was buried. It'd been there a long, long time. It was alive. And the feeling I got was, not tonight, sunshine. This is my night. And it was just pure evil, whatever it was. And I just turned around and went, boom. I just quick march back out of there. And I said, no, I ain't going in there. So, I started getting all this like, oh, you big wimp, this, it's a cemetery, it's dark. Next guy goes in, same thing. So at the end of it, Brick Commander's down to himself, all the other 7 others with me. Just like a bit of that, like, you could get lost, but there's something in there. So anyway, Brick Commander goes, right, you lot stay there, I'm going. About 10 minutes later, he came running out. And he said, right, mount up. And I was driving the lead vehicle. He was sat next to me. And he goes, we were here for 2 hours. We saw nothing, and we never talk about this ever again. And that was in a rural cemetery in a village outside Lisbon. The as soon as you walk through that gate, it went from mild temperature to like cold.
Right. Was
Freezing.
Was it? Can I ask you? Was it a certain? Was it a certain mausoleum, or was it a certain
Just a
grave?
grave. A grave.
Just a grave. Oh, one single grave.
It was alive. It was buried in there, and the impression I got, it was pure evil, and the impression was, get out, not tonight. Tonight's my night. Whatever that meant, I don't know. But all I know is it was enough for me to turn around and get the fudge out of Dodge.
Yeah. Yeah. Crikey, Riley.
Never forget that.
And even the commander, even he said, right, that's it. Mount up, let's go.
He was telling each of the individual, go in there, and they were all coming out, and they were like, nope, nope, nope. And and he stood there cursing us. He grabs all the kit, and he goes down there. 10 minutes later, he's out of there, mount up. We sit there for 2 hours, and he said to me, he said, right, we sat here for 2 hours, saw nothing, did nothing, and we never talk about this ever again.
Crikey, that's interesting, isn't it? That is interesting.
For me, it's one of those that I mean, you can talk to any serviceman or woman, from all three services, and they've all got a funny tale, or about somebody else or themselves. But there are, I say, a lot of guys that have had something really spooky happen to them.
Yeah. And it gave you the feeling like it was alive. It gave you that feeling it was alive.
Oh yeah, it was. I don't care what anyone says. It was. It was communicating. Because in my head, I heard these words: "Not tonight. Tonight's mine. Leave." Right. But the overall sense of whatever it was just bad.
Yeah,
evil. Evil is the only word I can describe it.
Yeah. No, there's so much. There's so much more. There's so much more to this. This whole genre of paranormality that encapsulates, like, kind of, from Dogman to Bigfoot, Woodwoes. Do you think they're linked in? Do you think somehow they're all linked in?
I think in a roundabout way, yeah. There's some sort of connection, but that's not to say that everything's evil, everything's good or bad. I think there is a big circle of formation, of connection, of different realities. It's all intertwined somehow, somewhere. I mean, just getting back to the church thing. I mean, sometimes I used to go to a spiritual church just to talk to a relative of mine that died years ago. And I actually told this psychic this what I've just told you, and she goes, "Well, it can't be, because physical and spiritual can't coexist at the same time. It has to be one or the other." I said, "I'm telling you, that thing was alive. It was buried there. It was real. It was flesh made manifest, or somehow it." The one thing that struck me, it was the age of this thing. It was ancient. It'd been around. That's the feeling I got. And she was just like, "Well, it can't be." I remember going, "Well, I'll tell you, it does exist. It does happen." I mean, I just don't tell the story because I think it's a good yarn, because it stays with me. Yeah. And sometimes in a quiet moment, I still think about it. Like some guy trying to cut my head off with a machete when I was in Ireland as well. Yeah, things like that stick with you. But this, I mean, this thing is going to be my head scratcher for forever and a day, until I pass away. I mean, the other thing is the guys in my fourth and last talk, some of the guys got into Ouija boards.
Right. Okay.
And so that is something I just will never touch, never do.
No, I never touch Ouija,
because you need someone that knows what they're doing with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it was a bit of a fashion thing.
Mm.
And we come off this 16-hour stint, and we were back out in 4 hours. So you toilet, bacon, butty, all the rest of it. I went to the loo and I come back in. There was 4 guys on the floor with a Ouija board, and that room was freezing cold. And these are sort of proper heat.
What do you mean they were on the floor? What, they just fell off the? If they
No, they were sat on the floor with this Ouija board,
Yeah.
cross-legged.
Yeah.
And I just walked back into the room after being to the loo.
Yeah.
And the room was freezing, and I was like,
"Oh,
I'm out.
right,
Let me know when you need to go."
right,
But
right."
I said you should not be messing with that.
No, 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 no,
'Cause I didn't want to be in the same room.
no, no, no. I don't. Ouija's Ouija boards are not the best. It's a direct line through to a higher psyche than us.
Yeah.
And and it's funny, the amount of accounts where people go onto things like Ouija, and there's one name that's always spelt out, Zozo, and it seems to be some gatekeeper. You
Yeah,
know,
I don't. I'd like to say. I mean,
mm.
I could.
There's a
Yeah,
lot of
I
hidden
easily believe
stuff.
that. But as soon as you say Ouija, I check out.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
Ouija
no,
is
I don't want to know anything about it.
no, it is a. I kind of no, I would never do it myself, because I think that sort of thing follows you. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
you,
very true, very true.
it, it,
Yeah,
it kind of like unless you know how to close it off. And I remember seeing a very well as a stage show, and it's a very well known paranormal people that have been going for years, and on TV. It used to be on TV.
mm,
Now they like kind of do like shows and things like that. Anyway, one thing I did not agree with, and I did not like at all, is they done like a live on stage Ouija with members of the audience.
mm,
You go see their show, um, and they're mostly, their paranormal bent would be mostly ghosts. Yeah,
yeah,
and their program be on Living TV that was used to be on them. And but yeah, so, and I called up these people, and of course it be packed house of people, because people are just like kind of obsessed. They kind of have to know. They have questions and they have to know.
of course,
You
yeah,
get some dyed in the wall fans as well. So anyway, I went along with my missus just to see, because they were local to us. So I thought, well, we'll go and have, as a local, we'll go and have a look. Used to watch their program years ago, until it started getting debunked. And
yeah,
uh, um, uh, and it had a woman who was like the lead, if you know what I mean.
yeah,
Yeah, you know the one. And they brought out this a Ouija board on stage at a table. Who would like to have a go with the Ouija? And you find these people in the crowd, and they're putting up there, me, and they would go around. Oh, would you like? Oh, you're right, my dear. Yeah, the one at the back. Yeah, you got crazy eyes. Would you like to have a go? I think it was, no.
no, 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 no,
And,
no,
I thought of all the things to play and mess about with. Anyway, I saw how they closed it down, and it really wasn't closed down at all properly. It
no.
really wasn't closed down at all properly. But when I watched it, funny enough, I had my phone with camera with me, and I was like, just like this. But then started glitching out really badly. My phone camera did. As soon as they started doing the Ouija, I was like, "Oh, that's a bit weird." Phone camera just like, and then the battery died.
I mean, I don't watch the where you get the 4 experts, 5 experts, or going to a big haunted house.
Yeah.
Everything's in infrared or passive.
Oh, I know.
Night vision, I say, oh, I feel a presence, or there's something over here, So, yeah,
Yeah,
I've never watched any of that. And I know some people that have been on these sort of programs come out afterwards and go, well, yeah, we never got anything, and basically it's just, we have to find something or pretend there's something
yeah,
for audience advertising ratings and all the rest of it. But I mean, there's some really good independent spiritual investigators, like YouTube or online. But when you get the mainstream, it's
yeah,
just, they got all the kit. But as I say, the one guy who I thought got a real bad deal. Like I say, he's been dead now, but he, I think he's like, I talked about him before, Robertson or Robinson, the guy
right,
that got the pictures of the Loch Marben vampire. He was on a Good Morning Scotland TV show,
right,
and some of the photographs of the ghosts that he'd got are just absolutely amazing. And they
yeah,
had this professor of parapsychology from Edinburgh University there to debunk him, right?
mm,
So basically, they're doing the same thing, but
mm,
she's got letters after her name. She's got all the
yeah,
expensive gear,
yeah,
but he turns up with all these pictures, and she's got bugger all the show for it. But she's sat there just making him look like some sort of clown show.
yeah, yeah. No, I
Which is,
agree. Yeah. It's
I
funny. They go in and they've got their production crew, the sound crew.
yeah,
You think to yourself, hang on a minute. With so many people in one single place on stage, I put my hand up and I asked them. I said, "There's a house nearby which is like called the Witch's House.
yeah,
It's only a small one place. Would you ever go to a place like that?" And they said, "No, it's too small. Can't, we only do big venues because of our production crew." And I'm like, yeah, but with all those people milling around, cables on the floor, lighting rigs, this, that, and the other, if there was anything there, it's not going to show itself. The
yeah.
vibes are not right, you know. It's just not going to happen. As you
I mean,
said, in a people that are solo, I've got a lot of people that are solo. I've got a lot of I admire a lot because they go
mm,
in solo, like yourself. You go in, you wake up at a crack, um, on your way to work, and then you go in. And I've seen you. You go through the woods, and you go into the woods, and it takes a lot of bottle to do that for anyone to go into the woods when it's like it's basically dark, and you're with your torch. And you've got no backup. You've got no one with you. If there is anything there, be it, ghost, be it a cryptid of any sort, Bigfoot, Dogman, whatever it is, that takes gumption because you've got no one backing you up. That
yeah,
takes an awful lot, and I've got a lot more admiration for people like yourself, and I'm not just blowing smoke up the arse here. I'm saying people like ghost hunters that I've seen on YouTube and
yeah,
stuff that go in on their own.
yeah.
You know,
Colin, Colin Kill, he goes up Danes Dyke like 3-4 o'clock in the morning,
yeah,
and they're there. I'll tell you now, hand on heart, they are 100% there.
mm,
Like Colin, last time Colin and I were there, we're on top of a ridge looking down, and you suddenly start speaking low. You just, you just compelled to start speaking low tones, hushed tones, and we're looking, and I thought his stomach had rumbled. I said, "Was that you?" And he went, "No," and it wasn't. It was behind it. We couldn't see it, but it was growl.
right,
This thing was behind it, and it growled because I was saying like, "Come on." I was trying to communicate like, come on, show yourself. But we're friendly. We don't mean to hurt you. And
yeah,
that's when I heard this growl, and I looked at Colin and said, was he on his stomach?" And he went, "No." I went, "I think it's behind us." And he went, "Oh, right." But it growled. Yeah, I looked over and it wasn't there, but it was there because we definitely heard it.
yeah.
But yeah,
Have you ever heard
so
any? Have you ever heard any voices from like either Dogman, or I don't like. I mean, I don't really like the word dogman. Don't really like it really.
No,
But
I call it either great wolf or the werewolf, man wolf.
yeah, but there's a school of thought that thinks that werewolves are different to dogmen.
No, it's just another name. It's like Shook, the devil dog, or the devil hound, or the shuka. I mean, the oldest term I could ever find was Lieka Skuka, which roughly means great terror.
Yeah, but
You
that's
know,
quadrupedal. That's always been old Shook's always mostly been in and around ancient mounds, burial sites,
yeah, East
cemetery,
Anglia.
quadruped.
Because
Yeah, but
I mean,
yeah,
I mean,
it's Anglia.
Skuka is an old term. You know, it's like the word, like you say, it's a possible root word for shook or
Yeah.
shuka, and then you get shrek, which means terror, and blieka, you know, skuka means terror in the oldest form of English. But I mean, it's all one and the same thing. I mean, you know, you can have bargast is another term for them, but it's all red eyes, green eyes, blue eyes, yellow eyes, walking upright, all on all fours, different shapes and sizes. I mean, you know, they in America, you know, the Indians say, you know, there's about 7 different types. I think we have 3 types here, but you know, I don't go into the sort of like, oh, they're the soldier type A. I just say no, it's got a long tail, short tail, or no tail at all.
Okay.
Some of the legs at the front are longer than the rear legs. You know, and you'll find those up round Wirral, Lancashire. Then you've got the hyena types that are in sort of Lancashire, going over into Yorkshire, that mix with a traditional German Shepherd timber wolf looking one. But the ones predominantly in the south are these sort of Shepherd timber wolf looking like ones with long tails.
Right. Okay. Right. So the one that I've seen, and I've caught them. The one that I've seen is a large hulking one with a flat face, not much of a muzzle. Looks more like a big face, wide face, quite ugly looking. The pictures of like Dogman, and there's illustrations of from sightings of like a Dogman being a wolfman, long muzzle, and they kind of look quite cool looking. You know, they're not ugly. This one I saw was quite ugly and flat faced and quite big, very stocky, very heavy, but not tall. That tall, tall of 7 foot, but not massive. It was just like very heavy, stocky looking. I always put that as a type 2, which is basically a bipedal, but when it runs, it does run on four legs.
Yeah.
But I must admit, I don't know about the tail. I didn't see the tail. But yeah, that's the one that I kind of like saw, which is only, well, not just near here, in the wood near here, funny enough. The only other one I've seen a quadrupedal one, which looks more like a wolf, like a shook, as I would call old shook, in a cemetery.
Yeah.
That's why I categorize them a little bit. I do, because the ones that I've seen, and I've just managed to get on video, you know, debatable again, like everything else. But and I kind of and I get it, and it looks like a dog, but a massive dog, massive, big pointy ears, really big pointy ears, and that just cloaks out in. That just cloaks out. But so I don't know. I don't know if they're all the same. I don't know if they're all the same. I do think they are different.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you know, the human race. You know, we come in all shapes, sizes, and colours all over the world. And I think, like in Australia, there's 4 different types of yowie. I mean, in North America, Canada, you know, there's about 8 different types of sabe. There's 7 types of different dogmen. Well, I say, I mean, I again, I'm not a big fan of that term, dogman. You know, it's either a werewolf, i.e. man wolf, or I call it the great wolf because it's it's bigger than any other type of wolf. It's definitely got very definitive and prominent canine features, but it can just it can do a whole lot bunch more than your average dog.
Yeah. When they go, a couple of things to ask it. When they go around in packs, you say, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And let's call Bigfoot, because whenever I say Sasquatch, it always comes out wrong. But so Bigfoot, they live together in the same forest.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any interactions with them?
No. My own thing is that there's like it's like during a time of peace or detente, that even though they're hostile to each other, but they know there's a certain boundary they don't cross. Now, I really believe that the wolves will take juvenile Vilvus, Sabe as a meal. Because the younger ones, I definitely believe that does happen. I know there's been a couple of accounts in Canada and America where they are seen cooperating, and on one occasion, one's even been a pet. Bigfoot's had a pet dogman. But so having saying that, there's a couple of stories out there in America where they've had a semi-domesticated dogman.
Right.
So that's a possibility.
I've seen a video. I heard the story. I think it was on one of Vic Cundiff's shows. Where what was it? Let's have a think. Oh yeah, the guys were going out. These guys were going out camping in the States, and so they went out. They set up their tent, and they kept getting around their campfire. It lit up the inside of their camp, but on the peripheries of the camp, it was jet black dark, as it usually is in a fire. Jet black dark, and but they could hear and sense and hear something treading around the edge of the camp.
Yeah.
And you've probably heard this story. It's quite a famous one. Anyway, it was a dogman. Anyway, it came in as if to attack. They had a you'd be better at this than me. They had a bolt action rifle. I don't know what it's called, but a 302.
Yeah.
302. Yeah, right, 302. I think it was.
Yeah.
And he said this thing would probably stop a bear easily. And he said, it just like didn't do anything. This rifle, but then at that instant, this Bigfoot came in, which was horrendously big, just dwarfed the dogman, and they had it resulted in a battle between the two of them.
Yes, I've heard that.
Bigfoot was protecting the people.
Yeah. I mean, just going back to the rifle, 302 is like similar to a NATO 7.62 round. It's a big bullet. I mean, the Russians used to use a 7.62 short caliber. Now we're down to like 4.85 or 5.56, which is a smaller round. But like I say, you hear accounts of where a Digby 4.66 elephant gun has been used, and this was one of Vic's episodes. A bunch of guys go to Ohio or Oklahoma, which there's a well-known area. It's infested with these things, and they want to film it. And they all go in all their best camo. They got all the gear, and one guy's got this hunting rifle, elephant gun, Digby 4.66, and shoots one round from a mile thereabouts, hits the head, then goes down, staggers back up, fires one more round, hits it in the throat, goes down. 4 more others come to the scene, start sniffing it and moving it and nudging it, and that's basically as soon as that stopped, all 4 raised their heads and they zeroed in exactly where the firing point was, and then they boom they start running towards them. Now, luckily, all the guys managed to get back. He said, but they crossed that mile in like seconds. But they're all running back to their vans, or their SUVs or 4x4s. And he said they all managed to get out. But he said the thing that had been shot in the head and neck with an elephant rifle was sat at the end of the pathway, smiling at them as it left. As I left.
Right.
No, an elephant gun.
Right. I don't know very much about elephant guns, and there's a lot of people probably be listening to this. Can you put it into would an elephant gun, if I fired a shot at a I used to go to an air rifle club, right? And you got the targets, which are sort of and they go off into the distance, and you like fire at them. What would it do to one of those cardboard targets with the aluminium plate at the back? What would it do with them?
I'd go right through.
Go right through the aluminium.
If you're fighting at 300 meters, which is a normal standard battle engagement range, it'd go right through.
Right. Okay. Yeah, and that's aluminium. Right.
Aluminium. Yeah. Carbide aluminium. I mean, there's. I mean, they used to. One of the things, like before you used to go to Northern Ireland, they used to show you this 30-minute video, and it was called or entitled "The Use of Cover in the Rural and Urban Environment." Right, and they used to show you all the different types of firearms that the provisional IRA had. You go from your standard AK-47 to Garand M1, which is a big bullet, and you watch the use of the Garand against a single double cavity wall with infill, 300 meters, 600 meters, it just demolishes it.
Was that
use of rural cover behind bushes, trees, and one guy goes like, can we just stay home, because this video is not giving me much confidence. Yeah. I mean, you should watch a video. I mean, it's like when you shoot up a car, right?
Yeah.
The only thing that will protect you is the engine block. Like you say, I mean, if you have a standard size caliber, well, pistol or rifle, if you're less than 300 meters, that round's just going to go right through the door.
Yeah.
The only thing that will protect you really is the engine. Anywhere else on the car you hide, you're buggered. I tell you an instant. There was I think it was 88 third tour. There was another part of Belfast. Some guys, 11 guys were out on patrol. Anyway, they were off their patrol route, right? So they were hiding in the cemetery, having a fag, sneaky smoke break, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was at Belfast Road or Kings Road they were on. It was early hours of the morning. Anyway, there'd been an incident, and there was two Provo guys in a Ford, not a Ford Escort, a Ford Sierra.
Right.
Driving down the roads, right? And our guys had the SA-80s, 20 rounds each. And they're listening to it on the radio. And the guys go, oh, they're coming towards us. So they all come out the cemetery and they line up across the road from left to right, old gunslinger style, like in the Western. So the story goes, this Ford comes whizzing round the corner towards them. The order's given, and they fire over 200 rounds at this car. Only 11 rounds struck the two occupants in the front, of which 4 were fatal. Right, so their guys are coming towards them, the front of the car, and they only managed to hit these guys 11 times.
And that was because of the engine, because it was coming towards them.
The engine, yeah, from the front.
Right. Okay. Blimey.
And the one of the guys had been hit in the head, and the only thing keeping the top of his head on was a balaclava.
Oof. That's severe, man.
I mean, when you see in the movies like the where they get hit in the arm and they're running around, yeah. Well, even if the bullet sears the skin, right, like doesn't penetrate, it literally goes right, misses, passes, but the heat from that round passing will open the skin.
Right.
You know, like a yeah.
So it doesn't particularly have to. It just gets because of the heat from the. It's so hot.
Just the heat go. Yeah, it'll open the skin. Now, you know, if you're less than 300 meters and you take a 7.62 into the arm, you know, your arm's going to be hanging either by the muscle or the skin, because you know if it breaks the bone, you know, you know the old classic shoulder wound.
Yeah, you see it in the films all the while.
Yeah, that is 10 ways of messed up. That is a problem, mate.
So when you watch that, you think to yourself, no.
If it's a clean entry wound and it goes right through the shoulder blade, yeah, okay. But if it shatters the shoulder blade, you know, you're
in a world of hurt.
Yeah, you're in a world of pain.
Yeah, and yet these things, these Bigfoot, they get shot. Documented that they shot these people. We shot them with large caliber weapons that I'm not too sure what are, but they're large sounding caliber weapons. In your opinion, why the hell doesn't the bullet go even? But they just laugh. Why? What is it they have?
I really. It's like with the wolf people. I think their upper torso, their muscle density is almost like body armor in a certain way, or even the way. I mean, I've heard of accounts where you know the wolf people have been shot in the head. I mean, either it's a bad shot, or the skull is that thick, or the way it's ballistically shaped that the round fails to penetrate. But
I've heard of headshots, even with people where they've taken a headshot and it's failed because the way that the shot's been fired, it's like kind of basically the skull is very tough, and it just kind of like bounces and gets deflected off.
I'll say I've someone told me some time back that they do. I don't know about the survey, but I know with the wolf people, they have the ability to self-heal. So
really?
You know, So, but that said, there are plenty of instances where they have been killed.
And
I think really, you would have to aim below a disabling wound below the rib cage. You know, the stomach, hip area.
Yeah.
But anything else, you know, the amount of muscle tissue and the way it's dense and tightly packed, it's almost like Kevlar body armor, natural.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. There's lots of animals out there anyway, which there's tons that we know of that can heal themselves.
Yeah.
I was reading about one the other day. I forgot the name of it, damn it, but it's like it looks like a slug. Anyway, they chopped it in half, if you like, and it regrew itself into two separate. It's got a special name to it. This thing has. Anyway, what they decided to do, just the experiment, is they chopped up about 270 bits. A few weeks later, there was 270 more. It regenerates and regrows itself into whatever it was formerly.
That's almost like John Carpenter's A Thing, isn't it? You know,
isn't it? Yeah. No, it's I'll get the name and I'll post it up on here of this. I saw it just by accident. I think it was on TikTok or something, and I thought, oh no, it can't be. Anyway, I looked it up because you see stuff on TikTok and you think, oh, what a load of old crap. And you thought, oh, you know, I was just like went on to internet, had a little look, and yeah, there's actually case studies of this thing.
Yeah.
It's a bit like the octopi. Octopi do the
Yeah,
same,
yeah,
don't they?
yeah, 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 yeah.
You know, so it's quite. It's what you're saying is quite believable, because it's, I think it possibly could have. It's such a it's such a fascinating, strange creature that we go looking for, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And yet we know it's there, because I've heard it. It's actually whispered in my ear before now.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah, yeah. Believe that. Yeah,
so it's just, and don't we? We know when we're out there. We know when it's there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
And
odd.
if you don't, it'll let you know. You know.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a closing thing. What's your thoughts on UFOs, and the do they have a place at all in your mind?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Definitely extraterrestrial. I certainly believe interdimensional time traveler beings as well.
You do
Absolutely.
you?
Oh yeah, yeah. No question about it. Like I say, I think I told you I saw my first one when I was at Disley Primary School. When I was about 7 or 8, flying. It was a fireball flying across this open clear blue sky, flying in a straight line.
Right. Okay. The next question, because we're going to have to wrap up in a minute or
Yeah,
two.
yeah, sure.
And I think this really may come on for another time. When you come on, we'll go into it a bit more depth, if that's all right with
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah, sure.
Does it? Do you, in your mind, does it play any role in the Dogman where people place? Does it have any role at all within
I
the
I
community?
think I think it does, but from a couple of accounts I've heard, like being abducted, even they don't like it.
Who don't like it?
Like the Bigfoot being
Right.
abducted and being and I know there's a story out of Afghanistan where some of these werewolf people were dressed in like some sort of armor.
Yeah.
But from some of the ex-squaddies that I know told me about what they saw out there, never saw any of that. Just saw them naturally doing their thing, as they would do here, going out and hunting and just being really nosy and inquisitive. But I would suspect, like with Bigfoot and the wolf people, don't like being taken up. As
No.
you know, a lot of people have been abducted. But again, some people that have been abducted have a positive relationship with these other beings, and some just have like living night terrors.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I know this from a couple of Steve Estelle shows. People communicated with these forest people that have been, have their own experiences with being abducted. So they don't like the star people, and they don't like being abducted. So
Because it's very odd that I've known it as well. That I was talking to another chap the other day about I said, yeah, David Hobbs. He runs Essex Paranormal and UFO thing, and he told me a story. He's this before I even mentioned about when I was in Rendlesham, and I went there looking for a wolf person. I feel that might be a better way of putting it. Dogman. Dogman is like kind of just doesn't fit for some reason with me. It doesn't fit, but and that's what I predominantly go out looking for. And I just like and I knew the history, and I didn't want to do the usual bit with the go into the statue, if you call it that, of the UFO, and it's not where it landed anyway.
no.
So I didn't want to do that bit, because everyone's like, oh, that's not really what I'm here for. Anyway, I was like going along and that, and I went to the old firing range part. There's an old firing
Yeah.
range, and I went there, And as I was walking back, I saw an orb, and
Yeah.
it was caught on one of my cameras, and it was like under control. It wasn't a flare. It was like under control. Anyway, I was like, I didn't mention this to David. He was chatting, and he said, "I said, have you seen the orbs?" Then, and he said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah." He said, "I remember once being in Redemption Forestville, and I saw this blue and green coloured orb." And I said, "How big was it?" He said, "About the size of a tennis ball." I was like, "Oh right, okay." And it was said it was under control. It was just going along under control.
Yeah.
Anyway, I said, "Oh, funny that. I caught that on video, more or less the same place in Rendlesham Forest." So
Yeah,
that thing there.
I've got red, blue, and white orbs in pictures. Yeah.
And it's strange because they always, and people will scoff at this, there's always a structure nearby. Always a structure, either a teepee or just a X or Y. There's always come kind of a not by accident. There's a structure, and you kind of like think that's weird, you know. But I think what I'd like to do, I'd like ask you if you don't mind to join us again, because
Sure.
you're wealth of absolute wealth of knowledge. I don't know anyone really that has got as much knowledge as you have when it comes to Wolfman, Dogman, and also for that matter, Sasquatch, Bigfoot.
Well, I mean, some of the stuff, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, stuff I've listened to. It's not direct. I've always say I've only ever seen them 7 times in 8 years, and even then, it's like, sorry, dude, I'm not here for you. I'm here for something else. But
yeah,
there are parts of the world where you have to go through areas that have been affected by Sabe or Vilvos to get to where the wolf people are. But yeah, a lot of the other stuff they say. I mean, Scott Carpenter, Steve Estelle, and the other 411.
that's another thing.
Yeah,
That's another thing I want to broach with you about missing, not just missing people either. Another thing I want to have a chat with you about, if that's okay.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I think the missing persons is one thing, but there's also other stuff I want to talk to you about that do go.
I mean, if you want to do about people being killed and eaten here, I can definitely cover that. Yeah, I can give you 2 examples.
Oh, that sounds great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Listen, for Ian, thank you for coming on.
Okay.
I appreciate it. And as I say, absolute wealth of knowledge, and you've got such a good name within the community. And I feel very privileged that you come on again. And definitely we'll have you in again. No, thank you. All right, Ian, buddy. Thank you. And everyone, say good night. Thank you. Or good
night.
day.
Take care, guys. All the best. Thank you very much, Phil.